I'm very excited. Thank you so much for coming. And this is like, I don't even know where to start. I had like everything planned, and now I'm just like overwhelmed that like people are here and stuff. Like, it's not snowing. I willed the snow to go away. What we do to make us whole is a collection of poems about grief and gratitude. And so I did not want to gather everybody here today for an afternoon to talk about death. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read some poems that hopefully are not too dark. And to make it all light, I have my grab bag of fun. So we'll play some trivia along the way. Is everybody good with that? Yeah. So I'm going to start out with a poem that is from Liberating the Astronauts, because my brother is here, and he actually told me this is his favorite poem. So, where's my brother? There he is. There he is. So this is a science poem. Chem in everyday life. We made nylon in the lab in the chem class for non-chem undergrads. We made nylon. Aimed at young people whose futures were not in science, we learned how chem appeared in everyday life. So we made nylon in the lab for everyday life, for when it would be 5 years later and we had an interview and could not find a pair of stockings without a run, and all the drugstores were closed and we could not buy a new pair. We could find a burner, find a beaker. We could make our own nylon in our kitchens and in our bathrooms, or in our at-home labs we created, even though we did not have lives in science. We'd been inspired by that professor in that undergrad course for students whose futures did not involve science. We could make nylon every day, an everyday skill we learned as undergrads in chem in everyday life. Okay, so, well, there are children in the background. I have to remember not to curse. So, here we go. So, the collection is split up into 4 parts, and so I'm going to read maybe 2 poems from each part. And this is called My Heart is a Truck Stop. Tested as rough as glamour, nostalgic roadside, Midwest, deserted towns, no traffic lights, no street signs, beat up, pick up, big rigs and heat in sun, windows cracked, open, alone, hungry, midday, lunchtime, middle of nowhere, iced tea, ice water, a meal ending with pie. Afraid of denim through and through, work boots, steel toes, or gentle leather, bobbled stools that counter ripped vinyl boots, throating valves, purple blood, a yawn from wet ventricles, the right ear wall of windows. We stood on the outside, awed at neon signs, twisted curves, 24-hour humbuzz electric. We stood at the entrance in trance. Welcome to slide into seats. We found a rest, forgot the task of unfolding road without end. Seeable, no intersection, resection, or replace. Stalled out, exhausted fumes, only dry, dull pumps, slowing down, unfamiliar, slowing down. We stood in truck stops, every side of every road, new but known among strangers who could know each other. We stood in truck stops, barely breathing, meanwhile motel rooms, city by town by the hour affairs assumed. Gravity pulling down, entropy, acceleration, assuming that's how trucks go. Decompressing, compressed pedals, feet pushing instead of walking, one in front of the other, in front of the other, and stuck in line. Attitude, cadence, bust up. Cross-country, highways, map, G-map, remap, lead, resurface. Strangers knowing each other, those long hours, long days. Overnight in the cab, making time on time, making up the time, the detours, collisions, traveling up the route for a cup of coffee, with sugar, for being called sugar, for momentum back out onto icy roadways, a long, longing, slow drain from flush to ashen to gray to translucent. All drained out, worn down, a body behind a wheel, a path of mind to follow on auto, on and on. A daybreak, moonshone, hot house, gentle head, rest killer, next 100 miles. Always another 100 miles, another inch, another reach, a foot yard, stopping short. The truck stops. Arm hurts, sound stops, backwards, pause, and park. Shallow breath, back into brake light. Fallen out, cold, gas, body. Pieces crumbled off at each place of rest, unnoticed until too many tossed to the wind. We will not be put back together again. This is Bruce Allman, and he allowed me to borrow this mic, and he's in charge of me not having to yell. This is the title poem. It's called What We Do to Make Us Whole, because that is the title of the book, and it's the title poem. 1. The thing breaks apart. That's the matter. It's breakable, always breaking. When it breaks, pieces go missing. Fine edges disintegrate. Oh. Thank you.
Restart.
2. In a stew, onions disappear. This is not a new idea. Read The Traveling Onion. Then eat the stew. Then eat the book. 3. Munchkins are proof that everything has a purpose. Or munchkins are like using all the parts of an animal to justify being a carnivore, only you can be a vegan and a munchkin eater. 4. On Wednesday mornings I go to therapy. For my brain. It needs rewatering. 5. Plug into outlet, water into sponge. Cork into bottle, stopper into drain. Air into balloon, let it burst. 6. Moleskin, a second skin, a glue for cuts and abrasions, the iodine, a wipe, a swab, a clean made clean through chemicals. 7. Long cry, sob, wail, weep, tear up, tears roll down, blubbery, howling, cry, 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 cry. Or maybe this is how we keep falling apart. Or maybe this is how we keep from falling apart. 8. Dear blank. It's not blank. And then sent or not sent. What makes sense is blank. 9. Jigsaw. It starts in pieces like everything else. We have a count too. We have a level of difficulty. 10. Is it clear yet that I am unclear? That the answer is not here? That I have no idea what I'm doing? And even that is not mine, see Coke. And this idea of reference leads away from here. Here is broken. Still, from I through X, nothing has been solved. And now is your chance to win prizes. Okay, so these are more literary questions, those of you who are literary. Does anybody know who wrote The Traveling Onion? It's a poet. Did we read that in class? We read it in class. Or did we not read it? Does that not sound familiar? She has 3 names. Literary people. Her first name is Naomi. Literary people.
Naomi Naive Shai.
Naomi Shai. No, very good, Brendan. You're surprised.
Yay!
Brendan is going to pull a prize out of the bag. And whatever you get, you get.
I hope it's something.
Brendan won a book. Yay!
Yay! I'm a winner.
The Traveling Onion, Naomi Shai. Okay, and there was another literary reference in there that I don't remember.
Double or nothing.
So hang on. Okay. Oh yeah. Does anybody know Coke's first name? It's a poet.
Hope?
Yeah. Coke is the last name. K-O-C-H is the last name.
Kenneth.
Kenneth. Brian got first. Brian. Brian Garrity. Brian Garrity, collage artist, come on over and grab something out of the grab bag to make things fun and delightful. Brian Garrity, don't look. You're looking.
I'm bigger than anything.
You were bigger than me. Oh, you got a roll of
I got
stickers.
an
Yay. I have stickers for everyone. All right, moving forward. This is from the first part of the book is called Approaching, and the second part is called The Reckoning, because everything is fun. Okay, this is called If by Chance. A desert and a balloon, crushing a slow blur, coming clear. This is what's real 1 minute. This is what's unreal the next. A path defined by the most footprints. Rutted out, shallow, undark, unmarked, unscathed, unlinked, unfleshed. A gentle coaxing of clouds. The dirt caked up and broke. The land won't hold. Still, the chance to float, a risk against gravity, to pull away from the core, that's the purity unlocked from the inside out. So this has a quote before the poem for a prize. Does anybody know the literary term for a quote before a poem? Go ahead, Bree.
Wait, I paused because we had that, so I'm doubting myself.
Okay, all right, now you're doubting it. Wrong answers are fine.
Okay, and so I think.
Would you like a little help?
Epigraph?
How was it?
An epigraph?
It's an epigraph, yeah, did you know it too? You remember? Everybody gets a prize, yay!
I doubted myself. I was
So
like,
don't
oh,
doubt
it's an
yourself, you know
epigraph.
things, people know things. Go ahead, Bree. Come on, grab your prize. I know you do it, because I did that song. Okay, what is it? Bad bombs, yay! And you got a bandana! A bandana! Yeah, I didn't know what to call it either. Bandana is a good word for it. All right. So the epigraph reads, "I am not here anymore, but I am fine." And that's an inscription from Billy Name to Andy Warhol. In the meantime, sometimes the moon glows red. It's a 20 times 5 equation. It's a list of lists that list to one side. The reason here and there seem far apart but prove identical. Fine as the silts creeping in corners, slipping through the holes. At once a prince and desert dune, a nighttime dreamless and dry. You only add so much, and eventually there's simply no difference. It's very sweet. I have no idea what that poem means. I don't know. I don't know what it means. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. I know my place in this world. The next poems are from the part called Always Look Up. Always look up is my mantra. Started looking up at clouds a while ago, and then I'm like, oh, they're so pretty, so we should always look up and look at the clouds. And I don't like animals, and these next two are about animals, and they're like in a row. I don't know how I did that either, but so this is called Lethal. The joy of cows, roadside, sitting, standing together, as if I'd never seen cows. As if they are exotic, I suppose to some they are. To others sacred. Once at the Atlanta Zoo, a keeper told me to think of giraffes as giant cows. Heads the same, just different height. Giraffes are roadside somewhere, but not here. Down here, there are the cows. The green, green grasses, the flowers in blankets of maroon, white, purple, yellow, billowing, blossoming, blooming, for miles stretched ahead. Where was I? Oh, that was when I was in Texarkana. I went to Texarkana to do a reading at Texas A&M University. And then there was a tornado warning, and everything got canceled. And I went down to the lobby, and I was like, hey, what's happening? And then they were like, oh, yeah, so if you hear the siren, you can just come down here and stand in the pantry with us, or you can go in your bathtub, but don't go near the window. I said, thanks. They're like, don't worry, this happens all the time. I said, not where I'm from. Texarkana is a cool place, though. Everybody should go. Sometimes there are dolphins. On a warm morning, a sun salute, sun breath stretched, feet rooted and balanced on a mat on a rooftop overlooking the ocean beyond the boardwalk. Out there, floating at the line, barges move slow, and closer, surfers in wetsuits slicking through tubes in a glimmer of foam and salt. And in the stretch between, sometimes, there are dolphins, distracting from the focus of feet on a board, on a deck, on a mat, on a rooftop. They break above the surface and dive back down, a pod cycling like a wheel, 5 or 6, or maybe the same 3, over and again, blue-gray sleep churned, distracting from inhale, exhale, down dog, and up. They reappear for air and then go under and forward, cutting through dark waters, becoming light with sun rays, growing hot to shine through a mirrored surface. Way out there, where water is water, natural and unmanned, Out there in the open sea, no land in sight, sometimes there are dolphins, exciting the guests standing at big windows on the dining deck, who watch the wake of the ship not expecting anything more. Startled swift bodies break the wake, moving as fast as the ship, faster still, and disappear, moving under and above and under again. There are dolphins always out there, the same as sharks, the same as whales, the same as coral and kelp. All things invisible until they make themselves known. The same as the twinge in the back in baby cobra, the same as the twinge in the stomach when you ask for a hand, the same as the skipped beat and the pulse and the vinyasa on the mat on the rooftop, overlooking the boardwalk on the shore. Sometimes there's a dolphin pose in the practice. Slow moving, a body shaking, forearms pressed down, torso lowering, hovering, pushing heart towards thighs, upside down under big sky on a summer morning. So those, by the way, there's a large notepad on that table over there. And the idea is for everybody to contribute a doodle or a line or a word, and we're going to make a poem. And if you're interested in what the outcome is, just tag yourself and I'll send it to you. So, anytime today, before I pack it up. The last part of the collection is called Waking Under the Bodhisattva, and I literally woke up under a bodhisattva when I slept over at the Rubin Museum when people were allowed outside and allowed to do things. And it was quite the experience. It was, they gave us midnight snacks and we all went to bed and we all woke up and everybody shared their dreams and it was quite the scene. Morning prayers. In that 17-degree dark morning, stars. Countless, but still trying to count them, having to start over when startled by the sound in the dry brush. Breath on icy air, in, moist out, on top of the mountain, eye to eye with other mountaintops, silhouetted across cavernous valleys, black against a lightning backdrop. Stars fading. The rise is slow. Feet as steady, alone, one small body on one small patch of earth, boots and gloves losing their warmth in one small, still moment. All of what's out there, a tremendous mystery as it dreamt, too surreal to be anything more, but too grand to be imagined by any human mind. It's out there always, every morning, a sheer millennia's worth of miracles. This also has a quote, but it has a dedication for the poem. With deepest gratitude to Doyle at the Bhakti Center in New York City and Radhanath Swami's The Journey Within. This is called An Ancient Wisdom. I am not the body. The mind is not the thought. The things our mind tells us may or may not be real. Be the rock, be the tree, be the rhinoceros in the dream. The mind tells us what we like and what we don't like. Intelligence tells us if it's a good idea. Speeding away, digging up the yard, jumping from ledge to seat. That which is false is that which is temporary, though the temporary seems real and forever, like diamonds. That which is real is beyond the body, which is not me or you or the mind. Faith is more than belief. Unicorns, pots of gold, tooth fairies, they fade. Instead, it's trust, discernment, choice. The freedom to not love gives us the choice to do exactly that. An equanimity of surrendering control, a relief of letting go. No more photos, only flame. No more messages, only silence. The hunger of the heart is our biggest source of suffering. Compassion, feeling with others, being with their suffering, karuna beyond emotion, an active agent of spirit. We don't become spiritual, we are spirit. You have a God, and that's not me. I have a God, and that's not you. We are not the body, we are not the mind. You and I are something divine. Through purity of intention, through cultivating, knowing the self comes from a pure love. Entitlement is love's antithesis. Doing what you're supposed to do doesn't mean extra trophies. When we do whatever we want to do, no matter what, we end up in places we don't want to be. Jail. The DMV. The confessional on a bathroom floor. The secret to simple living is a simple heart. It's not a language of but, it's a language of and. And also, there is always light. The noun of love sometimes follows its verb. So some of you are new to the Dog and Pony Show, but those of you who have seen this before, what do you do when you have a code on Shutterfly? Does anybody remember the rule? When you have a code on Shutterfly,
You get a free book. You get a free book.
you make a book. Yes, Brendan just won his second prize from the rabbit. Do you want to take the prize or do you want to give it away?
Give it away. Let somebody.
Somebody.
People.
Somebody.
There's
somebody.
anybody.
I'm going to give it to Liz Jen. Liz Jen, who took the bus here. Thank you. I can't promise it's going to be great. It's going to be great. She's got a bracelet, everybody. She's got a bracelet. So I'm going to read. So yes, when you have a code from Shutterfly, you make yourself a book, and I made several of these. This one is called "I'm with the Band" because I used to be like a wannabe groupie. Yes, and yes, it did. Yeah, and the dedication actually is to my brother. So I'll read that. This collection is dedicated to my brother, my rock and roll hair metal classic rock hero. Yeah, that's him. You know, we've met him before. Yes, but the poem I'm going to read is actually for my mom, because my mom is here. My mom is here, everybody. She's the little lady standing in the back. She's shorter than I am. So I'm going to read this, but then I'm going to ask everybody for a favor after I read it. So don't go anywhere after we read the poem, because I have a favor. Listening to my mother's South Street Seaport album, 1978. Vinyl crackles in the blue room downstairs, skipping over to Rye and instead sticking on a refrain about the old dun cow on fire. And no one bumps the table and no one moves the arm. So the sad song plays stuck to the spot, a dust ball collecting on the needle tip until it grows so big that the needle skips itself to a new ridge. A new lamenting sea tune swells from the speakers to the walls, rising up the staircase and down the hall, flowing rampant into a new room. Vibrating from outer edge to inner label on both A and B, bringing what's out there a little bit closer to home. Vibrating from inland to the ocean where the same song plays in hearts of sailors far from soft beds, cotton wise with curlers, powder fresh, soft flesh. Instead, stuck with yellow slickers slick with spray, the only thought keeping them adrift is the grog and the moors and the bosun's last whistle. The only true movement is the stomping rubber boots on wooden planks to the uncertain tune of heading back to shore. That little lady has a birthday next week. Do you want to tell the fine folks how old you're going to be? 16. She's going to be 16. That's what she just said. She didn't hear what I said. So she's going to be 16. Sweet 16. Can we sing happy birthday? Yes. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Her name is Rose. Happy birthday to you. Are you one? Are you two? She's working on it in a school. Yeah, cowboy boys. Thank you for coming out today. It's a strange world, and a lot of people are experiencing a lot of grief in this world. But through that, we also can be grateful for things, and that's what kind of gets us all through. So I am grateful for the artistry in the world. So I do want everybody to check out Mindful Holistics and us and Brian's work. It's all around us. And it's beautiful. And we need to make beautiful things and put beautiful things out into the world. And we need to support each other and be beautiful with each other. And gosh, hopefully all this is over soon because we are all tired. I'm tired. So thank you. This book means a lot to me, and hopefully it means a lot to you too. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and thank you so much for coming.